I spend an obnoxious amount of time looking at automotive for sale ads online. And while it's probably not good for my health nor my wallet, I do pick up on a ton of mistakes that sellers make when it comes time to list their car. Mistakes that I can guarantee are leading to lack of interest in the car and ultimately a lower selling price. So on this episode of Eat, Sleep, Drive, I'm gonna give you guys 3 things that you must do when it comes time to sell your car to generate the most interest and ultimately get the most money for the car. Welcome everyone to another episode of Eat, Sleep, Drive. Please make sure you're hitting the subscribe button and ringing the bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. Now, today we are talking about selling your car and how to do it in the best way possible. You may have seen my recent video where I sold my Evo and I did pretty well on that car. I bought it cheap because it really had a pretty poor for sale ad. I did a few minor things to it and then sold it for a couple grand more than I bought it for, mostly because I had a killer for sale ad. It's not to brag, but I had a bunch of people, random strangers, complimenting me on my for sale ad, and it got me thinking that I should do a video to share with all of you what my process is and just basically good ideas for what you should do when it comes time to selling your car. So here's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna give you 3 things that you need to focus on to make a killer for sale listing. Photos, listing description, and where to list the car. Now, it used to be with photos that you needed one of these to get quality photos. You needed an expensive camera and you needed to know how to use it and stuff like that. But honestly, these days, even a cell phone will take really good photos. It's mostly about preparation and lighting. So those are the main things we're going to focus on. Certainly, if you have an expensive camera, use it. If you have access to it, if you have a friend with one, definitely use it, because the better quality photos you take are ultimately what's going to decide how well your car sells. Because when someone's scrolling through photo listings of different cars that they're looking at, they're gonna look at the one that catches their eye the most. So quality photos is for sure the number one. But I'm telling you, you can take it with your cell phone as long as you do 2 things. Prepare the car properly and use good lighting. Let's talk first about preparing the car properly. It seems obvious, but clean the car, and don't just wash the car, clean out all your junk on the interior and clean the interior as well. I see so many for sale ads where people just have their daily stuff just scattered throughout the interior of cars, and they think they're just gonna take a photo and post that on their for sale ad. No one wants to see that. Like, everyone wants to look at a car that they're going to buy and look at a clean slate, look at that it's been well cared for, and they want to, even though it's a used car, they want to think about it as being a new car to them. So get all the crap out, and if you don't have access to a vacuum cleaner or something like that, at least shake the mats out so you can get the dirt off of the mats or the leaves off of the mats. These little details go a long way. Now, of course, you're going to want to clean the exterior as well and all that kind of stuff. But let's also talk about lighting. So lighting is ultra important when it comes to taking photos of your car. You may have heard of the golden hour, which is the time just before sunset, basically, where typically lighting is best. If I were to take photos right now, it's the middle of the day, it's super bright outside, super sunny, the car is gonna look all washed out, and you could probably see that on the video right now. So I'm gonna clean the car, and then I'm gonna wait till the evening hours when the sun is not shining so bright, and then I'll take photos. If you do photos during the day and then you take them at night or at dusk, you'll see such a better quality in the photos. The car presents so much better. So that's the other thing with lighting. Make sure that it's either like a cloudy day, there's not too much sun. Now, the last thing is, what photos should you take? You don't need to get super creative. I mean, if you just take a bunch of photos, some of them will turn out. We're in a digital age where it doesn't affect you at all to just keep taking photos. So just take 100 photos, and if 10 of those come out, then that's perfect. Now make sure you're getting all angles of the exterior and the interior and the engine bay. Don't just take one of the exterior, one of the interior. Like, people want to see what the general quality or what the general condition of the car is, and of course the quality. So follow all those steps and you'll be well on your way to a good for sale listing. So you have your photos, which is really great, a super important start, but now you need to work on your listing description and of course the title of your listing. These are super important because they're the next thing they're going to see after the photos, and the title really needs to be spot on in order for people to be able to find it, number one, and also have it summarize the car pretty succinctly. So in the title, you're definitely going to want to have all the things related to your car. In the case of my Evo here, there's a couple different names for that car. Some people call it an Evolution and some people call it an Evo. So I made sure to get that in the listing. So if people are searching for one or the other, they're going to find it regardless. I also, they sometimes call it the Evo iX, which is 9 in Roman numerals, or sometimes they actually just, type the letter or the number 9. So, obviously that's car dependent, but you need to make sure that you're getting all the appropriate tags for your car in the title without making it obvious that you're just listing a bunch of random tags. The next thing I like to do is, give 3 highlight points in the subject. You don't want to overwhelm them with too many, but 3 is a good amount. And pick the most important or the highlights for your car. With the Evos, they rust a lot, so I wanted to make sure I said no rust. This car has a clean title. A ton of them are wrecked. And it also has Öhlins, which is a very expensive coilover suspension. So, obviously that's going to depend on your car, but if your car has a clean title, put it in the description. If it's not been in any accidents, put it in the descriptions. These are great selling points for the car. So once you have your title sorted, then you need to move on to the body of your listing. Now, I like to hit people with a, heavy hitter summary of the car all in 1 or 2 sentences right at the start of the listing, because if they see this wall of text, it's hard to get people to read the whole thing unless you capture their attention right away. So check out this sentence. This is killer. Here's your opportunity to buy a completely sorted, needs nothing, clean title, no rust, Evo 9 for under $20K. Boom. Like, I just basically summarized the whole car for them. I hit them with the highlights of the selling points for this car. I talked about even the price a little bit, so you really just want to come up with something that's real succinct and gets them, hooked, and they're going to continue reading the rest of your description. So, that's my biggest takeaway is that title and that first sentence are so important. So spend some time on those. After that, I like to break the description down into, a bunch of logical categories. And it may look like a ton of wall of text, but I like to make a very thorough for sale listing because, number one, it will cut down on the amount of questions that people ask if you're very thorough with everything up front. And number two, you can sort through the people that aren't serious because if they ask a question and it's something that you addressed in the for sale listing, then they're not serious because they didn't even read the whole damn description. So, it's kind of a twofold type thing. And, these people that just post for sale listings and say like, clean car, drives great, like, come on, like, you're going to get a million questions people ask you, or people are just going to blow you off and be like, all right, this is like a joke ad or whatever. So be thorough. I broke it down to a bunch of different categories. Chassis and body, which I always do. The general condition of the exterior and underside of the car is very important. This Evo, I broke down to mechanical and then a different one for suspension and brakes. Depending on how modified your car is or something like that, you might not have to do that. You might just do like a mechanical section. And then I do an interior section to talk about the condition of the interior. And then I kind of summarize it at the bottom. But in each of these, you obviously want to highlight what is so great about your car, but you also want to be accurate as well. So any defects or stuff I will put in the chassis and body section, any major defects. You don't need to get down to like this single rock chip right here, unless it's super obvious. And especially a car like this that has 129,000 miles, like hopefully people know that it's been driven quite a bit. The other thing that you want to do is definitely talk about, at the end, I make this kind of summary statement here. and I talk about why I'm selling the car. A lot of people want to know why you're selling a car, because sometimes people just want to get out of it because they know there's a problem with it, or whatever the case may be. People like to know that, and they like, it makes them feel better if it's like, in this case, I'm downsizing my garage space and I just don't have room. It's a fifth car, and that's a great reason to sell a car, and people will respond to that. So be honest, be open, and kind of get that whole description. And then you'll see what I did here is I talked about why I'm selling the car, but I also kind of talked about my ownership experience in this paragraph. And I kind of flipped around. The car has 129,000 miles, and that's something that some people would consider bad, or just because it's high mileage, it's end of its life or whatever, which is total BS. If a car's been maintained, it'll last for a long time. But I kind of flipped it around here, and I say, of course, everyone would love to own a pristine example, low mileage example of an Evo, but I talk about how those are museum pieces, and you'll often feel guilty driving them or putting miles on them if, they're so showroom fresh. And this car, because it has miles, you can drive it guilt-free and just enjoy it. So, kind of you can play off and turn a negative into a positive type thing. And I genuinely believe that. This is not bullshit. Like I'm not going to put non-factual information in my for sale listing, but I drove the car more than I otherwise would have if it was a low mileage example. So use all those things to your advantage, be thorough. And then is when I like to put a little highlight section, kind of reiterating a lot of things. People want to know the mileage, no accidents, and that kind of stuff. And then I throw the modification list in. Depending on what kind of car you have, sometimes you have a lot of modifications, sometimes you don't. But I don't like to hit people with this right off the bat because I think it's super distracting. And by off the bat, I mean, I don't like to put it at the top of the for sale ad. The likelihood of them reading through all these and then getting to the bottom is pretty low. That's why I hit them with this heavy hitter sentence right up front. So this is how I like to post for car sale listings. I've had really good success with this motto, and I highly recommend it to you guys. So we've talked about the for sale listing itself. Now let's talk about where you should post it. Now, this kind of sometimes largely depends on what type of car it is, how much it costs, how rare it is, and stuff like that. Certainly, if it's a high dollar car and it's worth a lot of money and it's rare or something, put it on bringatrailer.com. There's a bunch of people looking for unique cars there, and you can get some bidding going and get a bunch of money for your car, even put a reserve if you're worried about it going too low and stuff like that. But most people are not going to put their car on Bring a Trailer. They're going to do a more regular kind of car sale. And to that, and this is typically what I do, and to that, I just post it everywhere I can that is free. So cars.com, cargurus.com, anywhere you can post it that's free. Facebook as well. Craigslist is now $5 a post, but I definitely recommend posting it still on Craigslist because there's a lot of local buyers on Craigslist, and I do still get interest, and $5 is less than like a price of a sub. So you can see here I posted it on Craigslist. I did get a few hits, but ultimately the one that I mentioned just in passing, Facebook, is really where you need to post the car. And it pains me so much to say that because I hate Facebook as a company. I hate everything about Facebook, but there are so many people that are on Facebook and so many people who are looking at cars on Facebook. The last couple of cars I've sold have all been through Facebook. And hey, guess what? It's free to post there. So you definitely want to go to Facebook and post your car on the marketplace, but not just the marketplace. And this is where people make that mistake. But especially with performance cars, you need to post it in the group section of Facebook. So Facebook has this concept of groups that are kind of like what forums used to be, where it's a collection of people that are interested in a topic. So in the case of my M3 that I'm going to sell, I'm going to come up here and type in M3 into the search button. I'm going to go over to groups, and you're going to see, look at all these groups that are associated with M3 enthusiasts or BMW enthusiasts. And look at this one, BMW E90X M3 V8 Owners Club, or like these buy-sell groups. join all of these, or join all the ones obviously related to your car. So I'm going to go ahead and join all these groups, and then I'm going to post my car in there as well, because that's really where I've got the most interest in cars. It's not just the marketplace based thing itself, but join the groups that are people that are interested specifically in your car. As you can see here, I'll show you guys a screenshot. I posted my Evo on an Evo for sale group, and it generated so much buzz. People loved the for sale ad. People loved the photos. And look at all these like compliments that I got, which ultimately I sold the car within a day. And clearly it generated a lot of buzz that people were like, oh, this is a good deal. Like, look at all these people commenting and stuff like that. So make sure you're posting it on Facebook groups. As much as I loathe Facebook, it's definitely probably the best place to post a car right now, especially a car like, you know, in this price range, an Evo or an M3, $20,000 that a lot of millennials are looking for, or looking at those cars. They're going to be on Facebook. They're going to find it there. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys learned something. These are things that I've learned over, the past 15, 16 years of buying and selling cars. It's taken me a while to get here, but trust me, if you spend the time up front with a good for sale listing, your car is going to sell quicker. It's going to sell for more money. That's just how it is. And those are my recommendations to you guys. Check me out on Instagram, Eat Sleep Drive TV, in between episodes to see what I'm up to. Also, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss any future content. If you guys made it this far, I want to say thank you to watching the video, and I appreciate you guys watching. As always, I'll see you on the next one.